हाय, आपका स्वागत है कौन बनेगा करोड़पति में। और आपका 1 करोड़ का आज का सवाल है, क्या है ये CB200X?
क्या कहें इसके बाद?
Well, snap back to reality. I am not Big B, I'm Varun Painter. You are watching PowerDrift, and today I am with the CB200X. In case you haven't seen our launch alert video, it's already live on the channel. Please go ahead and check it out after the end of this video. And today we're going to talk about how it looks, how it feels, and what is the overall vibe of the Honda CB200X. As most of you all know, this is platform sharing at its best. So a lot of the things that you see on the Honda Hornet 2.0, a lot of those things have been carried forward to the CB200X as well. So that includes the engine, the suspension, the brakes. But apart from all the other things, there are a few interesting things which I'm going to talk about right now. For example, this windscreen that you have here is different. There are knuckle guards with integrated turn indicators, the handlebar is different, the tires are also different. There's a half fairing in place instead of the bikini fairing that you see on the Hornet 2.0. There are changes to the seat design as well, which will hopefully improve the comfort of your ride when you're out on the highway. But talking about looks in general, since this has been given the name of the CB200X, I think my first thought is obviously going to be, how close is this to the feel of the CB500X, for example, because that's the CB that we get in India. And that is one motorcycle that I've really gotten to like. Had it not been expensive, it probably would have been in my garage. But we know how Honda's price game has actually played out over the past year. So talking about looks in general, this actually feels like a nice motorcycle. In spite of the displacement being 184cc, this does not feel like a small capacity motorcycle. It feels big, it feels tall. Also the quality of the parts that you see here, for example, the quality of the windscreen, it's plastic. The quality of the knuckle guards, again plastic. But it does not feel cheap, it feels Honda, premium Honda. Let's talk about ergonomics and comfort. Now, the story on this side of the motorcycle, my side of the motorcycle, is very similar to the Hornet 2.0, but obviously is going to be different on the other side. When I'm talking about my side, the seat is a little bigger, which means you have a little more place to scoot around. I don't know how many of us actually have the thought of moving around when you're out on the highway, but definitely people who want to sit in the saddle for a longer time can adjust and can get comfortable when the road gets going. The handlebar is now different. The handlebar is a little raised, which adds to the overall comfort of the motorcycle, which means you sit a little more upright, you have a little more command over the road, there's a little more leverage when you want to turn the motorcycle. The instrument cluster is also moved away from the rider and it's closer to the windscreen. It's essentially the same, which means essentially it's giving you the same information. But talking about the windscreen, it's a nice little cute piece in there, but I wish it was adjustable. What else do we have here? Of course, the half fairing that you see here instead of the bikini fairing on the Hornet 2.0, this actually has vents. Now the Hornet's engine is not necessarily an engine that gets really hot even when you're riding it in peak-to-peak city traffic, but this is very well thought of. Not only is it going to cool down the engine faster, but it's also going to direct some of the cool air towards your legs, and that's just going to add a little more to the comfort quotient when you're out for a ride. Okay, so when Honda first announced this to be an ADV motorcycle, an adventure motorcycle, I was like, finally, an accessible adventure motorcycle from the Honda stable. But then there's more than what meets the eye. And here are a few things that I think Honda should have changed before calling this a proper ADV. And number one is going to be the suspension. Now, the suspension has been carried on from the Hornet 2.0 because platform sharing, so same setup at the front, same at the rear, no changes in the internals. And that for me is a big miss, because if this motorcycle actually has the potential to do a little bit of soft-roading, if not complete off-roading, suspension plays a huge role. That's number one. Number two is going to be the ground clearance. Exactly the same as the Hornet 2.0, and this is actually plastic, really good plastic, but I would have preferred to see a metal belly pan because that just instills a little more confidence in you as a rider when the road gets bad. Number 3, the tires. These are dual purpose tires, which means hopefully it should have the potential to do a little bit of soft roading. But this is a 17 setup at the front, a 17 at the rear. An optional 19-inch setup at the front would have made a lot more sense and added another feather to that ADV tag that Honda is promising. Finally, I'm going to talk about the engine, minor tweaks in terms of torque figures, but essentially it's the same. And ADV motorcycles inherently have a lot more bottom end torque. The Hornet's engine is actually not a bad engine, might feel underpowered for some, but it's actually a very pleasant motorcycle to ride. But since this is an ADV motorcycle, bottom end torque would have helped the characteristic of the motorcycle and enhanced or added another feather to its ADV tag. Apart from that, the final thing that I want to talk about is the pricing. In all honesty, Honda's pricing has been a little questionable over the past year and a half. And it's a bit of a concern because the motorcycles that they're making are actually nice motorcycles to ride. But if they had gotten the pricing right for some of these motorcycles, it would have just made a whole lot more sense. So for about 13,000 rupees more than the Hornet 2.0, I don't know if it makes sense because it essentially has created its own class. You don't have an urban explorer as such. The only other motorcycle that I can think about or talk about is going to be the X-Pulse 200. But the X-Pulse 200 is actually a really good off-road motorcycle, something that people can learn on if they want to get into the world of off-road racing or just off-road in general. So do you want us to compare this motorcycle to the X-Pulse 200, or do you want us to compare this to the X-Pulse 200T? Let us know in the comment section below. Of course, this is still just a walk around and a full-blown review will be hitting YouTube very soon once we get our hands on the motorcycle. Till then, I'll be more than happy to answer all those questions in the comment section below. So get going. This is the story of the CB200X. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Varun Painter and I will see you later.